did it go from you just enjoying it to you thinking, oh, well, actually, I'm really good at this?
Probably after I won my first world championship, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, that's
like,
probably sunk in.
I think I'm okay at this. Like, if I didn't get selected for the Olympics, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen with my life now. So I was allowed to have a medal, but I wasn't allowed on the podium. Ultimately, I got given my medal in the car park at the hotel. It was really, really bizarre. I feel like I've been pregnant for about 3 years now. If that had happened even 2 or 3 years earlier, it would have been over, like no more career.
Hello and welcome to Stronger Than You Think with me, Ashleigh Wilmot.
And me, Jodie and Ashleigh. Our guest today is well known for incredible cycling ability.
She's competed at 3 Olympics. She became the first Welsh woman to walk away and win 4 Olympic medals. And she's got some very exciting news. She's expecting her second baby and she's found the time to come and visit us in our studio. A very warm welcome to Elinor Barker. So good to have you with us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Baby number 2. How is everything going in the build up to your second child?
Really good, actually. Yeah, I'm having a much easier time with this pregnancy than the first one. So training's been a lot easier. Like still a bit of sickness, a bit of tiredness and stuff. But yeah, on the whole, feeling really quite good, actually.
When did you actually find out the news? Where was you? How did you find out?
Oh my God, I feel like I've been pregnant for about 3 years now. I'm only 5 months. I was just at home actually with my husband, which is really nice because the first time around we were in different countries and found out over FaceTime and it was all very, big surprise. Whereas this was kind of, we had some time to set aside and we'd actually, my husband Casper had bought me a hot air balloon ride for my birthday like 2 years ago, I think. And we'd kept having to postpone it because of races or the weather or whatever. And we were finally going to go that day. And so we found out and then we went on this hot air balloon ride and we don't get a lot to spend a lot of time, just the two of us. So to get that news and then get a really special evening in together was really, really nice.
What is a hot air balloon ride like? I've always thought about it. I feel like it'd be very quiet.
It was, yeah. It was a lot more relaxing than I thought, actually. Like, I didn't think that being in like a big picnic basket with loads of strangers, like 200 meters in the air would be so chilled. But it was really, really relaxing. It was nice.
And obviously, this is your second baby, so you've had to take a step aside from your career to do it the first time. You're doing it, which we will talk about, but you're doing it the second time. You've taken a step back now. So what does life look like? Are you just being able to just relax and enjoy yourself a little bit?
I mean, it's definitely more relaxed than a racing season, for sure. Quite a lot less travel. And I suppose in a way, it's like a more extreme version of training in that I'm still trying to get the most out of myself every day. But it's also nice that when it's not going well, which usually often still doesn't, I've got an answer. So I can kind of relax a little bit more and prioritize rest and that kind of thing. But I am still trying to train as much as I can to make the comeback as easy as I can.
So are you still following the cycling in your downtime or have you thought about maybe tuning into the Women's Rugby World Cup 2025?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I am still watching a lot of it. I found it hard earlier on when I was like, I had time to watch the whole race, for example, because I was lying on the sofa feeling really sick, but then it would make me feel really sad about lying on the sofa feeling really sick. But now that I feel good, I can watch it after like a good bike ride and feel like, I'm going to come back to that next year and feel a lot more positivity towards it. And
obviously, as you touched on, it is the Women's Rugby World Cup this year. Will you be sitting at home and soaking it all in?
I would love to say yes. But to be honest, I think between training and having a toddler and also trying to watch all of the cycling that's on, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit in many 80-minute games of rugby, but I will probably follow along.
I'm sure it'll be all over your social media anyway.
Exactly.
There's a lot of excitement around it. And, there's so many different mediums that you can enjoy it, whether it's radio in the background when you're, got your hands full with other things.
Exactly.
Let's talk about you, though, and your career. It's super, super impressive. What initially attracted you to the world of cycling? Did you grow up in a cycling family?
No, not really. I actually didn't find out until I went to my first Commonwealth Games when I was about 18 or 19 that my granddad raced cycling and my dad had never told me. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So I do kind of come from a cycling family, but it skipped a generation. And it's just me and my little sister. I'm one of 4. My older siblings were never really interested. My parents did it a little bit to ride with us on the roads when we were too young to go by ourselves. But really, we just did lots of sport. And that was kind of one of them. We were really lucky that we lived really close to a cycling club with an outdoor velodrome, so we didn't have to be on the roads when we were 9, 10, 11 years old, and a little bit too young for that kind of thing. And it just was like the sport that stuck, really. Nothing else really kept us wanting to come back. I think probably because we're not very good at anything else. But cycling, we could kind of get really stuck into, and it felt like there was a lot of progression to be made and a lot of different disciplines. We tried track and road and mountain bike and cyclocross. Like there was just so many different things going on, and it was so social that it just always felt quite exciting.
I'm intrigued, what actually drew you to cycling? Because I can just imagine it being so peaceful once you get into that zone and you know what you're doing. How does that all feel?
To be honest, I wasn't really drawn to it at all. It was just something my little sister wanted to try. And I was like, yeah, well, I was young enough that I had to either go and watch or go and join in because I couldn't be left at home on my own. So I just had to go. And I couldn't even probably have told you what I enjoyed at that age either. It was just like, okay, on Thursdays we go cycling. That's just part of our week now. Now I think I can really feel that it's that spending time outside. And during my first pregnancy, from about this point onwards, I'm 5.5 months now, I couldn't ride outside really because my bump was so big and it was so uncomfortable that I had to flip my bars upside down to ride on the turbo. So I had to ride inside all the time. And after about a week, I was like, I haven't been up a hill in ages. And I'm so used to being up a hill. You get that real sense of being kind of away from everything. And then you come back down, back into your life. And I don't know, there's just something about all that green space and being in nature and places that I would never normally go, that when I can't do it, I realize is such a huge part of my life and why I like to do it.
I can relate to that so much. I feel like getting on your bike, being out in open space, embracing nature, having a bit of fresh air, for me, it's such a way of switching off.
Yeah,
and
massively.
Not thinking about anything else. And I do it socially. I'm nowhere near elite level at all. But I just think there's so much enjoyment that anyone can get out of cycling. So when did it go from you just enjoying it to you thinking, oh, well, actually, I'm really good at this, and maybe something could come of it?
Probably after I won my first world championship, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, that's probably sunk in.
I think I'm okay at this. Because I think when I was younger, I never thought this will be my job one day. I just always really thought about I'd love to win that race next weekend, or I'd love to win under 14 nationals next year. That'd be really cool. And I never really had goals that were bigger than that. But I think that's also probably what made it feel quite fun, and I guess also quite finite. It always seemed like something I would do until I went to university and got a job and entered the real world. And then I just found that I got to that age and there were still opportunities. They'd just gotten bigger and better and more excited. And it was things that my friends had heard of as well, like the Olympics or the World Championships. So it just kind of happened and snowballed, really. When
you talk about the start of your journey, you did start at Maindy Flyers, didn't you?
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because that's super interesting. There's a lot of big names that have started there. Geraint Thomas is one of them. So talk us through, for anyone who doesn't know what Maindy Flyers is, what was it? How old were you when you were part of that?
So Maindy that's the velodrome that I was talking about beforehand. It's an outdoor velodrome. It's connected to a leisure centre, which is how we came across it. My sister and I came out of swimming lessons and thought, oh, what's that thing going on? And then we joined, and there was 3 or 4 sessions a week, and there was loads of trips to go and see really big races, which was really, really nice. And a lot of it did centre around Geraint, actually. So when he raced his first Tour de France in London in 2008, something like that, a really long time ago, we all went and got the bus down. I think there was a group of us, probably 35 of us, went to go and watch this race. And we could see someone that started where we were, and we'd seen pictures of him going to watch the Tour de France when he was our age, and now he was racing it. And I think he was dead last, which was still amazing. He was only 20 or 21 or something. It was still amazing and so cool to watch him. But I don't think any of us thought at that point, oh, he could win one day. It was a big enough deal that he was there and racing, and that seemed like something to aim for. And there's so many names that have come through Maindy Flyers and won Olympic titles or Tour de France or something really big. So then when we were training when we were younger, we had the same coaches. I think the same coaches are still there now than when Geraint was 7 years old. And so when they're telling you how to do something, like, this is how Geraint Thomas does a start, this is how Nicole Cook would attack, like, you really, really pay attention and you listen, and you know that you're learning from people that know what they're talking about. And I think if we didn't have that, you wouldn't give it the same, because really they're volunteers, most of them. It's really incredible. It would be hard to give it the same kind of importance when you're that young. But I think having those huge superstars, you instantly know, okay, these people know what they're talking about. I'm going to do what they say.
How young were you then?
I was about 10 when I went the first time. My little sister was 7. So yeah, pretty young.
That's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
that must have been so surreal in that moment, of being that like young age as well. Did you ever imagine yourself when you were going to go on to, 3 Olympic Games?
No, oh my God, no.
Yeah,
No.
like where, from that moment, how did your sort of journey progress from there?
Really gradually. I mean, I think as big as I probably wanted to dream is that we would also take these trips to go and to watch, they were called Revolutions. It was a track race on a Saturday night every 2 weeks in the winter, usually in Manchester. And we would come up and watch, and it would be kind of a showcase of like who'd done well on the road that year. So Mark Cavendish would be there, for example. And the year that he won at the World Championships, they let him wear, even though it was road, they let him wear it on the track. Like, it was a big show, and it was really, really fun. And they had youth races. So I think maybe 2 riders from each region in the UK could get picked to race there. And then you'd be on a team with Mark Cavendish or someone like that.
Cool.
It was really, really cool. And that was kind of the biggest that I dared to dream was, maybe when I'm 15, if I'm really good, I'll get to go to that. And it was always things like that, like a goal that wasn't that far in advance, really. And just sort of, again, sorry, I'm repeating myself now, but it just kind of snowballed. It was never, like, I definitely never ever thought that I'd be 30 with almost 2 kids, and still competing, still aiming for another Olympics. Like, it just didn't cross my mind that would be possible.
It's so impressive. It's so impressive. And I feel like it's all about making sometimes smaller goals what feels more achievable maybe in your mind at the time, because otherwise it can get quite overwhelming. Like when you start thinking, I need to get to an Olympics, it just adds a whole nother layer of pressure that you probably don't need at that age either.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what was so fun is that none of us thought that we could go. You know, we thought about doing those small parts of what makes being a really good bike rider, like those people that are really good, rather than, they went to the Olympics, so I'm going to go too. It was never that kind of thing. It was, if you do this, you'll be able to be as good as an Olympian at this specific part of the sport. And then if you keep building on that, then you could be a really good bike rider. But there was never that pressure of, we expect you to go to the Olympics or anything like that. It was not like that whatsoever. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, that first Olympics must have been like, I can't even imagine the experience. Like, how old were you? We were like
21, I think I was, yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
That's just insane. What was like going through your mind in that moment?
God, I can't even remember really. I remember the 10 minutes after the race really, really clearly. That was like the best 10 minutes of my life, I think. It was so good. And I think just so much relief, because I'd been there from like the first day almost of that Olympic cycle. I'd really done 4 years of focusing on this event with that team, more or less. And so then to get to the other side of it, and it's all worked out exactly how we planned. We literally did the time that we'd written on a whiteboard as our target like 2 years before that. And it just felt like, it actually happened. Like, this is amazing. All our families were there. It was like just perfect. And I think relief is quite a big part of it as well, that you're like, thank God we didn't let anybody down. I think that's something that athletes really worry about, because there's so many people who put so much into that and don't get a medal at the end of it, but they do really feel part of it when it goes well, and they also feel part of it when there's a loss, even if it's something that's out of their control. So I think, you really want to perform for all of those people too, and just to get to the end of it and be like, thank God it all worked out. It was amazing.
You do sacrifice so much. I mean, I don't know what I was doing at 21, but I think a lot of people are just studying and, living their normal lives. Whereas like athletes are in the thick of it. You're kind of peaking it just at that moment. But yet to most of us, 21 seems so young. And then to be experiencing something that so many people will never get to experience in their whole life. As a 21-year-old, how daunting was it? Did it feel like that big at the time?
Yes and no, I think. I think because it had been like my whole entire life, I knew that it was a really, really big deal to me. Like if I didn't get selected for the Olympics, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen with my life now. I hadn't considered any other possibility. But I think I hadn't really maybe realized what it meant to other people as well. And so it's only really when you look back that you think, oh, actually, there were a lot of people watching that race. A lot of people who know, who really know what it means. And I guess that's it. When you go to such a big race, it's kind of universal, like the Olympics or the Tour de France. Like you don't need to know about cycling to know what that means. Whereas, if you win something like Paris-Roubaix or something that's a little bit more niche, it doesn't relate to quite so many people in the way that something like that does. And I think that's been really, really special, especially I think when you meet people later going on through your life and they're like, oh yeah, I watched it, I remember it really well. I don't know, it just feels really special, like a really big deal to have meant something to so many people.
That's so cool. And obviously with Tokyo Olympics, that must have been a very different experience to your first Olympics. So I'm just intrigued to know like how that differs from the other one and that experience. It must have been very strange.
Yeah. And I think it was so strange, obviously, because it was COVID time.
COVID,
Yeah, I would say it was actually a really difficult experience for a lot of people. And talking about Rio, what made it so special was like all of our families were there. It was the first time my older sister had been to a bike race, and she went to Brazil for it. Like it's it was really, really special. It brought a lot of people together, and we had our families there for support if it didn't go well. Whereas in Tokyo, there was just nothing and no one, and you couldn't even talk to someone that wasn't on your team. It was really, really strict. And I think what also made it feel so intense was the year leading up to it was obviously, as everyone can imagine, not a lot of opportunity for distraction. You couldn't even really like just go to the cinema to switch off for a few hours or just do like normal chilled things. There were no like weekends away with family. Not that there's a lot of that anyway, but there just wasn't really a lot to kind of break it up. You were really, really in a bubble with other people that were aiming for the same race. And it was really, really intense. And then obviously the fear of either getting COVID yourself or someone in your team getting COVID, that would mean that you wouldn't be able to race. So the whole thing leading up to it was so stressful. And then to get there and just be racing in like an empty velodrome with nobody there. I think one day there was like 6 people in the stands and it was all staff. It was just the most surreal experience. And I think on the one hand, everybody's just like so happy we could have it, so happy it could go on. And on the other hand, everybody that had been to the Olympics was like, this is so different to what you're used to having. Like it's normally all about the atmosphere, and there was just none. It was a really, really, really strange time.
Everything that makes the Olympics is the fans as well, isn't it? It's like how invested they are in the individual athletes and the teams that compete there. So I can't even imagine what that was like. Very isolating. And then when you're, celebrating whatever victories that the athletes did, just to do that, but with no one there, not having like your family or your friends there to celebrate, I can't imagine actually how that must have felt. So when it comes to Tokyo, that was when you probably faced one of your biggest challenges in the fact that you'd helped your team get to that all-important final, but you weren't involved with the selection to actually compete in that final. Especially when the last Olympics, you've gone and won a gold, you get that opportunity to feel that elation again. How challenging is it as an athlete to then be told you're actually not going to be included in this? And when do you find out something like that?
Yeah, it sucked, to be honest. But that was actually a really normal part of the process. So normally in a team pursuit, we travel to every competition with about 5 riders, and 4 will ride each round. And you know that only 4 of you can ride. It's a really hard decision for the coach to make, and they have to make it one way or another. Usually someone will feel like they deserve to be in the team and they don't get in the team because it is really fine margins that you're dealing with. So I think that was one thing, dealing with the disappointment of that, because you want to ride all 3 rounds ideally. You want to really feel like you've really, really earned your medal. And I found out about half an hour before the final. So I had to be in my kit and everything just in case I did race. So I put it on and then took it off again. It was really crap. But then I think what was so rubbish about Tokyo is that for some reason you had to race a final to be allowed on the podium. So I was allowed to have a medal, but I wasn't allowed on the podium, which was just like the weirdest thing to get your head around. So I had to watch the podium presentation from the side, and then I was supposed to be allowed to get my medal, but they didn't give it to me. They gave it to the British cycling boss, who I then didn't see until the next day.
Maybe it was gone by then.
Yeah, it was. And to be fair to the team, they did a really, really lovely job. Like, they tried to make a big deal of it, but ultimately I got given my medal in the car park at the hotel. And yeah, I was like, this is not what I dreamed about at all. And to miss the moment on the podium with my teammates, you know, where you all get to have your arms around each other, even though we didn't win, and it was still a disappointment for the team as a whole. It would have been nice to be able to, be there and support and be supported by them. So yeah, it was just really rubbish because it didn't make any sense. I was like, either I should get a medal and go on the podium, or I shouldn't. It was so weird to have this kind of halfway house. And for a long time, I felt really like embarrassed by it, I guess. And I was like, that's not a feeling that I was going to associate with an Olympic medal at all. But I couldn't decide whether or not I deserved to call myself a medalist, or it was just such a strange headspace to be in, because I think I'd had it kind of like given to me sneakily, like I was like a little secret. It was really, really bizarre. And thankfully they changed the rules. I think they even changed the rules like 2 or 3 days after that, because it obviously had happened to other riders and other teams as well. A lot of teams will use all 5 riders at some point. And I think everybody was like, this is stupid. And actually the podium presentation after us, the team that won said, well, we're not going to go on the podium unless we can all go on the podium. And so I think it was after that they changed it.
It's a shame they couldn't have done that one podium before,
I know,
really.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
That must be baffling. I'm sorry, I just can't get my head around that, because not only have you worked so hard to get to a second Olympics, but you've been isolated. You haven't had your family and your friends around you. That one moment, that one thing you've been looking forward to just gets taken away. I just feel, I empathise.
In a car park. Out of all places. I mean, that must have been a lot to get your head around. But on the positive side, was the same day of the final you actually found out the news you were expecting? No. I mean, what are the chances and the timing of that?
Yeah.
The universe was telling you something.
Yeah. So I was about 2 weeks late for my period at that point in time. And I hadn't been worried so far, because actually we'd all had the COVID vaccine like 6 weeks before that maybe. And most of my teammates had got their period late. I'd heard of loads of people online that were like, oh, that's weird, I had the COVID vaccine and then my period was really late. But it was quite late. Normally I'm like on the hour. So I was like, something weird's going on here. But because I couldn't just go to the shop and just buy a test, I couldn't find out for ages and ages. It took like a week and a half to get a test to Tokyo. And so I think it arrived the day before the racing started. And I was like, no, I'm not thinking about this now. Like, I need to focus. So the doctor held on to it for me and then gave it to me after the test. I actually did the test with our team doctor. So he found out before I did, because I couldn't look at it. I was too scared. So he found out and then he told me.
How did you feel about talking to the team doctor about that? Because that's quite a big deal.
Yeah, well, we had a meeting maybe 4 or 5 days before the racing, because I was like, there's a small chance this could be happening. I don't want to do a test until afterwards. I don't actually have a test yet, but I don't want to do it until afterwards. I need you to tell me what's safe to do in terms of caffeine, in terms of supplements, in terms of racing. Like, can I get my heart rate that high? Like, can I just carry on as normal until the test? Or do I need to do a test to rule it out, to see, what I can and can't do? And he said, just crack on as normal. He said, you've been cracking on for the last, I think I was 8 weeks pregnant at that point. So he was like, you've been doing this for the last 8 weeks. You might as well carry on now, like you're at the Olympics. He gave really, really good advice. And then we agreed a time that we would do it together. It was very hard to get privacy in the Olympic Village, where you basically were supposed to be in your room, training or competing, or having dinner in this little like plastic cage where you couldn't speak to anybody. It was so weird. He managed to like get us a room that we could do it in. And then found out. And then I called my husband, or he was my boyfriend at the time, called my husband and said we're having a baby. Yeah, it was mental.
Did you FaceTime him?
Yeah.
And did he know, like, obviously you called him and he was aware that you guys were getting a test and what have you?
Yes, yeah, he was
God,
aware. Yeah.
imagine what he was feeling as well, just at home.
Wild,
Well, he was having a wild day because he worked for he's Danish and he worked for the Danish track team, and they were in the middle of their rounds. They hadn't finished their team pursuit yet, and they'd had a huge drama and they hadn't decided who was going to get through to the final or not. And they were still deciding that. And that was all of his best friends were in that team, and that was his job. And it was like 4 a.m. in Denmark where he was, because he hadn't been able to travel out. He had to stay at home. And he was at home like, oh my God.
What do I do with this information?
Yeah, exactly. So it was,
Oh, bless him.
I feel like our whole lives happened in like 72 hours.
It sounds like it.
It meant probably a little bit more as well, because a few years before that you were diagnosed with endometriosis. So I'm not surprised that you were talking to the doctor and you were asking about, you know, certain things and what you need to be mindful of, because this is something you wanted but were unsure that it would even happen.
Yeah, and luckily my boyfriend and I didn't live together at the time. We didn't even live in the same country yet. We had been making plans to do so after the Olympics. And we talked about kids and stuff, and we talked about trying in like 3 years' time. So luckily we'd had all those really hard conversations because I had been told it's going to take a really, really long time. So you need to start earlier than you think. So then to find out by surprise was like just the most shocking thing ever. Because also we were doing long distance during COVID. So we saw each other like once every 2 months. Like the chances of it happening were just 0. And so I really felt like I knew exactly what I wanted. Like when I was doing the test, I was like, I know what I want here, regardless of what it meant for my career. Because actually, even though it wasn't that long ago, there were no maternity policies in place at all. So I knew that a positive test could mean the end of my career, pretty much. And I was really, really lucky that it didn't. And that actually everybody decided, no, we're going to keep you on. We're going to, see you through this and try and get to the next Olympics. And my road team wanted to keep me on because I hadn't signed a contract with them yet either. So I got really, really lucky that everybody was very ready for it. I know that if that had happened even 2 or 3 years earlier, it would have just been that. It would have been over, like no more career. So I think I got very lucky with the timing of it all, even if I probably would have chosen to go a couple of months later and not have it happen at the Olympics.
That's such a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, where do you even sort of navigate where to go from there? Obviously, you've got on one side being so positive and excited to have your first child, but then it's thinking of your career. How did you sort of manage all of that? And I'm guessing you must have had a good support network as well.
Yeah, really, really good. And there's quite a lot of people that I told before my 12-week scan that I didn't really plan on telling. So I told my agent quite early on because I was like, I really want to keep my career. I don't know how to go about this. And then I told the boss of what was going to be my road team for the next year, who I'd never actually met in person before. We'd spoken on the phone, but we'd never met. I was supposed to sign my contract that week for the following 2 years. And I had to call him and say, I don't think I can sign this, like knowing what I know, there's no maternity policy in it. I don't want to feel like I'm kind of tricking you or anything. This is the situation. And he was just so, so happy for me. Instantly was like, why would this change anything? Don't sign the contract yet because we need to put maternity policy in there. And actually we're going to recall all the other riders' contracts and put maternity policies in there too. It was amazing. It was far better than I ever could have imagined.
That is so good. I'm sorry, but I love hearing stuff like that because there always has to be one person that makes this change and makes teams think, oh yeah, why have we not done that?
Yeah.
And it's baffling to me that it's taken up until the last couple of years for so many sports to be thinking about a maternity policy. It's not like women have just suddenly started to exist.
I know,
but
exactly,
it feels like that sometimes. But to hear that teams are being more and more mindful and to have that reaction to your pregnancy, I just think that's so nice because so many people could have actually just signed that contract because they need the work and what have you, and you didn't have to be upfront and honest, but you were, and it came back all good in the end. And I guess from your perspective, you must have thought, oh, this must be the team for me.
Oh,
Like they're willing to
100%.
adapt. That must have been
100%.
so wonderful for you.
Yeah, and I'm still with the team now, and I think I will probably end my career at this team. I'll keep going until this team doesn't want me anymore, I think.
That support, it does mean a lot. And sorry, we should just ask as well, for anyone who doesn't know what endometriosis is, can you just give us an overview of what that is?
Yeah, so it basically means that what should grow on the inside of your womb grows on the outside, and it could also grow on a lot of other organs in your body. So I know of a lot of people that have had growth on their lungs, for example, and it makes breathing really difficult. It can affect quite a lot of organs. For me, it was mostly around my ovaries and the nerves around my ovaries. So I had quite a lot of pain. It's supposed to be in conjunction with the period, but for me, it was just kind of all the time, really. So I had surgery, I don't know, 3 or 4 years before that, maybe not even that, which helped quite a bit, but it wasn't like, it's not a cure, it's kind of a management, I suppose. It makes it better. And then every few years you're supposed to go back again and have it done again.
How do you balance that around training? Because especially when you're doing such intense sessions, like how do you manage? I'm guessing it's going to be painful as well. Like, and even like your fatigue, tired levels and stuff like that.
Well, luckily I haven't had to have another surgery, which I'm really, really glad about, because obviously the recovery from that's quite tricky. But previously to having that surgery was really hard. And I think what I found most of the time is that it was very rare that I was in so much pain that I couldn't do anything. But just being in that amount of pain alongside your daily life is so exhausting. And so I just didn't really have the energy for anything other than what I absolutely had to do. So I think I had a period of about 3 weeks when it was really bad, where I went to training, I came home and I ate like toast because I couldn't cook, and I would just sleep or lie on the sofa and then wake up in the morning, go training again. Like that was it. And it's not a very big life, a very full life when it's like that. And it wasn't always like that. Like then I also had some really good times and some really big achievements while I had it, or while I was kind of in the thick of it. But yeah, when it was at its worst, it was pretty bleak.
It's so much more common now as well, more common than you think. I have a few friends who have endo, and it's so debilitating in some cases. But like you say, you can have surgery and there are treatments for it now, and there's more and more research going into it. But as an athlete, it's even more challenging because you have to be so physical. But like we touched on, you're expecting your second child, which is amazing. After you had your first child, how much were you able to just kind of relax instead of maybe focusing on the comeback? Because I'm sure that was obviously on your mind. What was that period of time like for you?
Oh, it was a lot. It was really, really a lot. It's like the most special time of your whole life, because you've just got this like brand new little thing that looks like you and the person that you previously loved most in the world, and now there's someone that you love even more. It's just like, it's just the best thing, and it feels so magical. And I was definitely one of those people who had a baby and couldn't talk about anything else for like 3 months, because I was like, nothing's better than this. And then I tried to start training again around a month after he was born, and it was very like really slow to begin with. I think I did 20 minutes at like 80 watts. It was really, really steady. And then kind of increased from there. But actually, training wise, it's probably the most motivating period of time in my career, because you never ever see a progression like that. It was like week on week, I was getting better and better. And you don't really get that in sport. I mean, I guess you'll have had a similar kind of thing where you reach a point and you're really, really searching for that extra 1 or 2%, that extra little bit of speed or strength. And okay, I wasn't at the same level yet, of course, but I'd be like, wow, last week I could only do 2 hours and now I can do 3. Like, that's amazing. Or I could only do like this amount of watts for that time and now I can do this. Like, it just felt so good to have that progression. And I was also really desperate to get back for racing, because during COVID, it was so focused on track. We weren't allowed to do road racing because of, all the threat of the travel and getting COVID and stuff. So I hadn't actually done a road race for a really, really long time. And I also felt so, I don't know, indebted is the kind of the wrong word, because it felt a bit we were more on the same team than that. But because of how my road team dealt with me being pregnant, when they didn't have to do that, it wasn't in any kind of legislation at that point in time, I really felt like I want to do this for them. I really want to show them that it was worth them doing that. I want to have something for them to show of it. So I just felt so motivated, also completely exhausted all of the time. Yeah, felt really, really tired, but it was, I don't know, something just takes over, I think, when you're in that like postpartum period. And there were a lot of days where I trained for more hours than I'd slept for the night before, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. I think it's probably really bad for you long term. But I just felt like I'd wake up in the morning and think, there's no way I can do this. And I'd always try and put my kit on and go out for an hour, because I'd be like, okay, I can do an hour. And then I'd get out and be like, okay, actually, maybe I can do 2 hours. And then I'd be like, oh, maybe I can try these efforts. And usually I could end up doing the training in the end and then come back feeling better than when I left. But it was it took quite a lot, and a lot of coordination from a lot of people, because obviously I'm going to be away from my baby at that point in time, who wasn't yet in nursery. There needed to be other people to take over. It was a big juggling act, but it was so worth it.
And just touching on motivation as well, it must be such a different experience coming back. It's not like, if you've got an injury and you're coming back from injury, you've literally had a kid and you've got a new sense of purpose as well. Like, you've got a little one, and I think that must just be such a crazy thing to navigate.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it made things in some ways easier. I think maybe mentally a bit easier. I can definitely deal with disappointment better now. I think because previously I'd come home and there'd be a lot of time and space to sit with that disappointment and really mull it over and think, oh, if only I'd done that differently. I should have said this in that meeting, or we could have done that. We could have gone in this direction, and like just overthink everything. Whereas now I get home and I'm like, oh, right, are we building trains today, or are we doing Lego? Like, there's just something else going on, and there's not really enough time to dwell on it. If you dwell on it, then you lose the opportunity to think about the next race, and that's what's important. So it's kind of kept me on that hamster wheel, I suppose, where you just got to keep looking for the next thing. And I do really enjoy it. It's also given me a bit of perspective, as cliche as that is. It now doesn't feel like the whole entire world is hinging on a race and whether or not it goes well or not. It's like, that's one very big, very important part of life, but it is one part of life, and there's a lot else going on in it now. I think it makes me laugh so much when people say that they're so motivated because they want to make their kid proud of them. And I'm like, my kid's 3, he doesn't care. And I asked him like 2 weeks ago, I was like, what do you think mummy does for a living? What's mummy's job? And he thought about it for a bit, and he was like, mummy tidies up. That's mummy's job. And I was like, you've been to the Olympics, you've been to World Championships, you've been to classics races, like you've been all over, been to Australia for racing, and you think I tidy up for a job? So I'm like,
at least he notices.
That's true.
Yeah. And now you can tidy up.
Yeah. But I mean, it just like, it doesn't matter to him, and that's so nice. Like the person that loves me the most in the world actually has no idea what's going on, and that's really, really nice.
Yeah, I think perspective is really important. I think when you get a bit older and your life starts to change, it does start to put things, in their place a little bit. And I actually think sometimes it's better for your mental health overall that you don't put so much pressure on just one part of your life, because when you're younger, I feel like so many of us are like, this must work because this is what I've decided to do. But actually, there's so many different areas of your life you can get that, that happiness from.
Exactly.
That contentment.
Exactly. And I think it really felt quite obvious last year when we were preparing for the Paris Olympics, and actually it looked like we were in a position where as a team, out of 3 events, we could win 3 golds maybe. And then our best rider had a complete freak accident. There was nothing anyone could do about that. She was out, and suddenly we were like, oh, we really need to scale back our expectations. And I think for most of the team, that was a really, really difficult thing to deal with. And it kind of, I don't want to say water off a duck's back, but really I felt for her more than I did for us and our chances, because I was like, we're all going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Like it's a bit disappointing, but it's going to be all right. And then I think seeing how the other girls were like, but this is our whole lives. And I was like, oh God, yeah, I do remember that feeling. Like that is really brutal. It definitely makes things like that a lot easier to handle, because it's a lot of sport is so out of your control. Like you can work really, really hard, but you can't prevent something like that from happening. And then, what do you do?
It's heartbreaking. I feel like when you get injured, I can't even imagine how that must feel. But you touched on it then, Paris. So that was your third Olympics, that you had come back from having your first child and worked your way back to that moment. Like you just touched on as well, you've lost one of your teammates, but you still went and you did so brilliantly well. What was it like from your perspective to have got yourself to yet another Olympics and being in that different mindset as well?
Oh, I think I was really able to enjoy Paris, actually. Like I really relaxed into it a little bit because, Rio was just like absolutely crazy, this total carnival. I didn't really know what to expect. We had so much pressure on us as returning Olympic champions from London, like as a squad, not myself, but as a squad. And it was really, just this like huge thing. And then Tokyo was obviously, for a lot of reasons, kind of, not that. It was a lot more sterilized, like, literally, metaphorically, all of it. It was just a strange experience. And so I think generally everybody, all the athletes across all the sports that had either been to or watched Tokyo really, really felt like, okay, this is the Olympics now. This is really special. And you could really see it in that, I think prior to Tokyo, I've not really seen a lot of medalists celebrate. Like it does happen. And I think usually it's when someone who you really wouldn't expect to get a medal gets a medal. But actually, I think in Paris, almost everyone that got a medal would be up in the stands with their families. They'd have flags. They'd be like kissing and hugging. And it felt like watching everybody win. It was really, really special. And I think because everybody was like, we can, like, we don't know, we can't take it for granted now. Like if you get a medal, even if you wanted gold and you got silver or bronze, you got to celebrate the fact that you've got there. The games is on in the year that it's supposed to be on. Your family's there. Like everyone just felt like they really, it was just a celebration more than previous Olympics felt like, I think.
And you managed to stand on the podium. You got silver, you got bronze, which is so incredibly impressive. Did that help with the situation in Tokyo when you weren't able to be on the podium? The fact that you were there in Paris with your friends, your family, it's kind of like you could put that to the side, and you'd had a little one. Yeah, so it all kind of came together.
He was there to watch, which felt really, really special. Not that he knew what he was looking at, really, I guess, at 2 years old. But yeah, he had a good time. It really felt special. I think it felt like, I don't want to say closure, because I don't want to say that it was my last Olympics. I'd really like to go to LA. But it did feel like, okay, that's the most recent chapter, at least, in the Olympics, and it's a lot better than the Tokyo one. And again, we had hoped for a bit more. I think a couple of months prior to that, we thought, okay, maybe we could be on track for multiple gold medals. We were reigning world champions in 2 out of 3 of those events. So I felt like we'd had a really good chance. But I think I felt really, really proud of our team and how we kind of picked ourselves back up. And actually, a few weeks out from the competition, it didn't look like we would medal in the team pursuit at all. Like that didn't look like it was going to be a possibility. I thought it'd be really good if we got 3 rides. God, I can't remember how it actually worked out now because it's a different format of the Olympics. But yeah, we just had set our targets a lot lower. So then to get a bronze medal and actually have fought really well and almost got into the gold medal final, it felt absolutely massive. And we really celebrated like we won. Like we were really, really proud of ourselves. So that felt like a nice antidote, I would say, to the experience you all had in Tokyo.
That must have been so special. That just makes it even more worth it, of it just even getting there and having that experience.
Exactly, yeah. And we'd had some really hard times, even since losing that rider. We'd been, like, as a team, hit by a car, like, the day before we left. And, I mean, we weren't all hit, but we were riding all together, and the rider in the front got hit. And in that moment, we were like, oh, my God, like, now it's really over. But yeah, luckily she was fine, managed to travel okay.
She was on her bike?
Yeah. And it just seemed like it was like drama after drama after drama.
Oh my God, not the preparation that you need.
I know, exactly. So then to get there and for it to all actually go really well, we went way faster than we thought we would go. Yeah, everybody was just super happy. And again, like, it really kind of felt like we'd won.
Yeah, to be on the podium and be in one piece, I think, is the main thing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It like puts it into perspective what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just to have that moment where you could still be on the podium. Wow, that's really not ideal.
I know, yeah.
But she was all right.
She was fine, yeah. I mean, it looked like it was going to be so much worse. Like during, her bike was completely destroyed. But yeah, luckily somehow she was like narrowly missed being really badly injured.
With the team pursuit as well, I feel like there's a real sisterhood, isn't there? Like you are a team, and with so many different disciplines in cycling, it is very team based, to be honest, but it can be quite, I don't know, what's the word? Can be quite individual. But to be there, not just on your own, to be there with the girls that you've been training with, that must feel so special.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And you rely on each other a lot. Like if one of you messes up by a couple of tenths of a second or doesn't do a change right or a start right, it really affects things. And likewise, you can really help each other out, obviously, which is the goal. Like the better you are, the better time that the person behind you is going to have. Like you're so interdependent on each other in a way that you aren't in a road race, for example. I mean, you are still kind of, but it doesn't come down to those really fine margins and those really tiny either points that you excel or don't excel and how it affects one another. So yeah, when someone gets hurt or someone injures themselves, you really feel it almost as if it's you, because you're like, oh God, what are we going to do about this? And you really feel like you need to look out for each other in that sense.
I'm feeling like perspective is something that I'm really getting from this conversation. I feel like even in the big moments, regardless of whether you have kids or not, it's like that pressure that you put on your shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think that's probably it, is that, I mean, I know that I talked about it before in terms of like not wanting to let any staff down or anyone that had worked towards this project collectively with you. But I think when it comes to like your family and your friends, I think the biggest thing you've got to remember is that they want it for you. It's not that they don't want you to win for any kind of selfish reasons. They just really want you to be happy. But actually, I think maybe the best advice I've ever heard, or the best kind of mindset I've ever heard, is that when you're having these setbacks or something's not going to plan in a race, you still need to think, okay, but how can I still win this race? And you probably, God, it sounds awful to say that you probably won't, because actually most races you don't win, is kind of the reality of it, unless you're like, in the top 0.5% or something. But I think you still need to have that mindset. And that's how often you see people winning races or succeeding when actually it seems like it was all over, which is kind of how it felt a little bit for us. And we just had to pick ourselves up and think, well, how can we still win? And even though we didn't win, it felt like a win for us. Yeah. So
mentally strong, honestly. I'd be so knocked down. I'd be like, well, I'm never going to win, so I'm not going to bother.
We did go through those phases. This interview is a year later. I've calmed down a bit now.
I'm in awe of you. I just feel like you just have to be so resilient in those moments. And then that's when you lean on each other, isn't it? Like, I'm sure you're the same, Jodie, with your former teammates. You have that camaraderie.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's just completely different in it being part of a team, and you're all in it together, and if something goes wrong, you've just got to like come together and just have each of us backs in situations like that. It does really help.
How do you find it? I suppose in tournaments you've got so many games that people are kind of swapping in and out all the time, and you can swap out mid-game. But I've always really found one of the hardest things about track cycling in particular is that it's such a small group and you do so much training together that out of you somebody is going to miss out, and it's usually someone that you're very close with, maybe even like best friends with. In Paris it was my sister that missed out, and so that was really hard, that we're going through this huge positive in our career while she's probably having one of the worst days of hers. It's just so hard to deal with whether you're that person or not. Did you find that in rugby at all?
Yeah, definitely in rugby, because obviously it's a game of rugby sevens that's in the Olympics, and they'll take like 13 players and then one player would be like the reserve. So it's that experience of like, I'm going to the Olympics, but then you're not knowing that one of your teammates. It's just, I didn't know how it was in cycling, but it sounds very similar. But it's very much like you've got to manage the emotions of trying to be there for your team, but then also your own emotions. So I think that's like a big part that a lot of people don't realise as well. They just think, oh yeah, your team's going out and going to the Olympics and things like that, but it's a lot to sort of manage.
Yes, yeah. And it's always hard when it's one person.
Yeah.
I think there's been, at World Championships, you travel with bigger teams, so there's normally a couple of people that miss out and they can kind of band together and watch together and be there for one another. But in the Olympics, it's one person. And that's really, really hard, I think.
I'm sorry, but as someone who has a sister, I do not know how you managed to do that. I mean, just having to console your sister whilst you're going and competing. I can't imagine how tough that was for both of you, and a real test of your relationship, I imagine.
Well, she dealt with it really well. And I think what what kind of worked differently there is that she was the reserve. So actually she travelled out there knowing that she 90% likely wouldn't race. I think she just handled it really well. Then she was like, okay, would I rather be the reserve that travels to the Olympics that has all these experiences, or would I rather be the next person in line who missed out? Which is also hard to be that person. But I think you get to then be around your family and you can take yourself out of the bubble a bit. But she just decided head on to just go and enjoy the experience as much as she could. I think the race day was really hard, of course, for her. But I think generally she had a pretty good experience. I think she looks back on it, I think, fairly fondly, and enjoyed it at the time. And I think she made it easy to manage that experience most of the time. Obviously, at points she'd think, this is rubbish, this isn't what I wanted to come for. But yeah, she dealt with it well.
I think that's the only mindset you can have in that situation,
Yeah.
is you have to just go and take it all in, enjoy what opportunities are there for you, and then just hope that there'll be future opportunities to come. And you just have to take it all in, because that, as a fan as well, I mean, I know she wasn't there as a fan, but there's so much to enjoy outside of that specific sport. Like, did you guys manage to go and see any other sports when you were there together? Did you manage to make any other memories?
I didn't really, because I was racing. So most of the team pursuit team then went on to go and watch a load of different sports. I think they maybe saw like the 100-meter final in the athletics for free as well, because there was like a ticket valid for athletes. So I think that made it easier for her to have a good experience. But I still had some racing to do. So I was kind of in the bubble for another few days. And then I just wanted to see my son because I hadn't been around him for so long. So I feel like I went to see something, but now I can't remember what it was. No, I don't know. Obviously didn't have as much an impact on me and as just seeing my family, which is what I wanted to do.
So obviously you're going to be having a second baby, which is very, very exciting. And I by no means am putting any pressure on you, but I am just wondering, what does the next, couple of years look like? Because you said you're not done with cycling yet. So have you got any goals in mind? Are you wanting to compete again?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And I've kind of learned from last time. Luckily, my coach has got loads of experience with pregnant athletes, which is fantastic. And we've kind of learned from, my previous experience, his previous experiences, not to have too set of a plan for when the first race will be, for example. And kind of the build-up has to be, okay, once you can sit on the bike for this long, then you can try this session. And once you can do this session, then you can do that session. And actually, before I can even go on the bike, my training is going to be walking and cross trainer and swimming. And again, I have to be able to get to a certain level before I'm even allowed on the bike. So I think getting that first bit right is crucial, and not doing too much too soon and fighting the urge to just get on the bike anyway. I found that difficult last time. But ideally, I'd like to be racing around this time next year. So my baby's due in December. Hopefully I'll be racing around the end of August would be ideal. I'm hoping for that. And then I've got I'm contracted with Uno X, my road team, until the end of 2027. So hopefully I'll be able to get some good performances in that year and get another contract extension would be amazing. But the year after that is the LA Olympics. So I think, that's kind of a nice carrot to dangle at the end of, and it's not that long really, like from when I'll be back to fitness, it's not even 2 years. Really.
It's doable.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've done it before.
I've done it before, yeah.
So you can do it again.
I know what it takes a bit more now, so I'm
Imagine
prepared.
if you did make your 4th Olympics. That would be insane.
I think I'd be, when they have those comparisons where they have like the oldest member of the team and the youngest member of the team, I'm like, I need to stop before I get to the oldest member of the team.
Well, you won't even be that old then.
Be 30, no, to be fair, I'd be 33 actually. Yeah, it's not so bad.
I don't, in cycling, it's not that old, is it?
No, that's a good point. No, it's actually not so old. It feels, I guess, because just to go to 4 Olympics just feels like a lot.
It does, but you started so young as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, but your first Olympics, you're 21, and you'd already been cycling for about 11 or 12 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your career, well, it's just so exciting. And it's nice that you get to have different chapters in the middle of it.
Really, really nice. Yeah. I feel very, very lucky to be a bike rider at this time in my life, because I know that if it was even just 5 years before, I just wouldn't have the experiences that I've had.
It's wild. It's wild that they've come such a long way in such a short amount of time. Elinor, it's time for our quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Yep, ready.
Let's go.
Right, let's get into it. So, easy one. Who was your sporting hero growing up?
Robert Earnshaw, he was a Cardiff City football player. He was a striker, and every time he scored a goal, he did a backflip. And I was like 8, so that was the coolest thing in the world.
Fair.
That's a good answer. Other than cycling, which sport would you have the best chance of winning Olympic gold, do you think?
I'm not good at anything else at all. Maybe running.
I was going to say,
I feel like
maybe
it's just
running,
a similar. You don't need to be that coordinated like you do in a team sport or a ball sport. Yeah, probably like 1,500 meters, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe. I mean, I don't have any chance of it. I'm just going to put it out there.
Who would be your dream dinner party guest?
Barack Obama, I think.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to ask why.
So I just feel like he'd be capable, like in whatever direction the evening went, I feel like he'd go along with it, you know? Like it could be like a party and he'd be like, yeah. Or it could be like a big debate and he'd be like, yeah.
He's up for anything.
He's up for anything, exactly. Yeah, I think it'd just be really interesting, but also probably quite fun.
Yeah.
Love that.
What's the best thing you've bought in the last 12 months? I
I just bought a mountain bike because, yeah, as I mentioned before, I couldn't ride outside in my last pregnancy. I had to turn the handlebars over. So I've just bought a mountain bike to make a bit more space for the growing bump.
Yeah.
And I've just been riding it to practice for when the time comes. I've really enjoyed it.
When will the time come?
I thought it would have come by now,
Okay.
but I'm managing. I rode on my road bike today in like my normal race position is absolutely fine. So I'm hoping another month or so at least.
Sorry, do you literally ride up until a few weeks before?
Last time I rode until the day before I went to hospital.
What?
The day before?
Yeah.
That is so impressive.
Not well,
No,
but I did ride.
you're on
yeah.
the bike.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's wild, that. Sorry, that's like... so other than social media, what's the most used app on your phone?
I'd love to say it's Duolingo because I'm trying to learn, but I think it's probably like just training apps like Strava and Training Peaks and Intervals, which is very boring, I know.
No, I love Strava.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be on your own.
Yeah, good.
What's the thing you're most proud of? I feel like I'm going to be able to guess this one.
I think, oh God, I'm wondering what you're going to say now.
I want to know what you're going to say.
I would say gold at the Rio Olympics.
Okay, that wasn't actually
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say having your baby.
Sorry, Nico. If I had to get rid of one, I'd get rid of the gold medal, obviously. But I was like...
Oh, no, that's so funny.
Had you not been an athlete, what would you be?
I think I'd either be a dermatologist because that's just what I was at the point that I would have applied to uni if I had gone. That's what I was really, really interested in. But I think I probably would have failed. So I probably would be a failed dermatologist with a lot of student debt. Or I'd have just gone traveling and tried to be like a travel blogger, something like that.
I feel like that's a great job.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get to just travel and make
exactly.
videos. I'm sure there's more to it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm watching.
I hadn't really thought about like how I'd make money out of it. I was just like, what would I like to do every day? And I was like, I want to travel and get paid for it. I don't know how I was going to actually make that work, but yeah, that would be nice.
When we were kids, though, that wasn't even a job, was it?
I think it was just starting to be.
Okay, when
I would say.
well, I don't know actually. Maybe it was.
It was just starting.
I don't
But it was more
remember when
like
content creator
written. It wasn't
started.
like vloggers. It would be like writing articles and stuff. So you'd go to
True.
Argentina and write a blog about it.
I remember blogs.
Yeah.
I feel like content creators came a little bit later. When I was at school, I
Yes.
remember reading a lot of vlogs of travel people, and I was like, oh.
What about YouTube, or is that, no?
I actually don't know when YouTube started. I was never a YouTube gal.
Like there was YouTube, but it wasn't really like the same kind of thing as it is now, is it? Really, it wasn't like everyone's got a reality TV show. It would be like strange videos.
Yeah.
It was really
But,
weird.
I watched Justin Bieber start his career, and I remember that.
Yeah,
being
that's
a big
true.
thing
A lot of
when he was a
music.
kid.
Yeah.
So at the end of every show, we always like to ask I guess. Is there a time in your life that you've been stronger than you think?
Yeah, I would say the period, like the 18 months probably after my son was born, I look back on it now and I'm like, how did I manage? I mean, he's only just started sleeping through the night and he's 3.5. Like the sleep was horrendous. But I would say that I actually had my best racing of my whole career during that period somehow. And like loads of stuff was going wrong. Like I broke my ribs at one point in a crash. Like it was just constant illnesses all the time. Stuff was just, it just felt relentless. And somehow as a family, we still just got up every day, having not really gone down for the night and just kind of cracked on anyway. And I'd always get through the day and be like, how did we do that? And yeah, now I look back and I'm like, genuinely, how did we do that? And how are we going to do this again? But I think that took a lot more than maybe I gave myself credit for at the time. Probably just didn't have time to think about it at the time. But actually, like on a really, really specific note, I do feel like one thing that made that work was that when I was breastfeeding, I was just really determined to never leave a room because I was going to breastfeed, because I felt like I'd already missed out on so much when I was pregnant. I was missing out on so much because I had to go and put him down for a nap. Like there's so much other things going on with looking after a baby that takes you out of the room, takes you out of places. And I think just being really stubborn, even if I could tell that some people didn't really want me to be there, being really stubborn with it and kind of sticking my ground meant that it opened up a lot more opportunities. Like I would take my baby to meetings, I'd take him to the gym, I'd take him to races, I'd take him to like everything basically because of that. And I never stepped out of the room and missed out, because I was like, if I do, I'm just closing opportunities for myself, whether that's like professional or social or whatever it is. And I feel like that took maybe again more strength than I thought, especially when there's obviously someone there that's thinking, oh, you need to go and do this in private. And I feel like I'm always in private. I miss out on so much. So yeah, that's probably a very specific niche one from that period of time.
I think that's amazing. I know some people in my life have decided not to breastfeed because they don't want to miss out on opportunities.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have been like, you know what, I actually belong here and I'm just going to make it work. It might be more difficult because some people I know have just opted to go straight for the bottle because it means that anyone can feed baby and they have a bit more freedom. Whereas you have just decided to just crack on with it, which is so challenging. I mean, it's easy for us to talk about it, and I don't have kids, but I could just imagine the extra organisation that comes with having baby with you all the time.
Well, I think that was it, is that I was like, if we only go for bottles, that takes a lot of organisation.
True.
Whereas if I'm breastfeeding, then I've got to be like, right, I've got me and I've got the baby, let's go. Like, we're good to go now. A few nappies and stuff, obviously. But I think it was really to make life easy. And everything was just so difficult that I was like, this thing will not be difficult. I was really determined. But I can see also why people, it is quite an alien thing to do, to just sit in a meeting and just get a boob out. It's so bizarre. But I think if you just do it and you're just like, and you're fine with it, then everyone else is fine with it as well.
Just got to get on with it.
Yeah.
And good for you.
And you're like normalising it as well, because I think if you're feeling awkward or weird, other people are going to feel the same. But if you're just like, yeah, I'm doing it, people are like, all right, yeah, she's just doing a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's really cool.
And some people don't even notice. Like, you can be quite slick with it once you've got it down, that you can just do it and no one will even know. So yeah, I would definitely recommend taking that mentality, especially if you're someone that has a job where you need to get back to work like as quick as possible, but you don't want to sacrifice like the well-being of your baby or how you want to take care of them. Yeah, I would recommend it.
It's so individual, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, really appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that and have to think about that when the time comes for them. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been really nice.
It's been lovely chatting to you and hearing all about what you've been through and also what's to come. It's exciting times.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll hopefully have career 3.0 that we can talk about in a couple of years' time.
And bring the babies.
Yes, yeah.
Bring the little ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. We would love that. We have so many brilliant episodes available of Stronger Than You Think. They're all available on Rugby Pass TV. So if you liked this episode, make sure to go back and watch a couple more. But from all of us here, thank you for watching, and we'll see you back here again soon.